Hey everybody, it's Katie. In my last vlog, I mentioned that I was going to go to a breastfeeding support center, and I wanted to report back on how that went. I went this week. Here, the place is called the Baby Café, and there are only maybe a half dozen or so in the whole United States, but they were started in England, and there are a whole bunch throughout the UK. So maybe you've heard of it before, maybe you haven't, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about this Baby Café and sort of what I got from the experience. Like I said, it's a free drop-in center for anyone who's interested in getting information or support with breastfeeding. Obviously, I'm not breastfeeding yet, but I went mostly just to kind of check out the vibe of the place and also to get some specific advice about, you know, initiating breastfeeding and asking questions about what I can do like in the first 24 hours, in the first 48 hours, to sort of get things down, you know, even before we leave the hospital. Sort of what I can do early on to ensure success. I asked some questions too about later on, if I work some hours outside of the house, sort of, you know, when would be a good time to do that, how long I should focus on establishing breastfeeding before I think about leaving. Anyway, so it was pretty amazing when I learned about this place because the city, the culture of this city is one that is not super supportive of breastfeeding, I don't think. I've never seen anybody breastfeeding in public. I have friends that breastfeed, but they will just do it at home. And yeah, if anything, you would definitely see somebody wearing a cover and probably being very discreet, maybe in their car or something. It's just the culture of the city is just not pro breastfeeding, I guess. I don't know what the actual rates of breastfeeding are, but in any case, it's really great to have a resource like this to promote and be able to support people who choose to breastfeed. So this particular Baby Cafe, it was basically one woman's dream. She's a lactation consultant. She's the woman I primarily talked to when I was there at this visit. And she just wrote a bunch of grants and got funding to be able to start this center. She had worked in a hospital previously, and most of her funding now comes through, you know, private foundations that she gets grants from. Some comes from WIC, and some comes from some of the local hospitals. There were also peer educators there and other people who just volunteer, who just like the environment and want to be able to help other mothers. So I thought that was really great. Everybody was super nice, and it was a really comfortable environment. Even just being pregnant, I was a little bit shy, like walking in, you know, because I don't have a baby yet. But everybody was just really, really welcoming and really nice. When I was there, there were 3 other mothers there. One had a 1-month-old, and so I talked to her a lot about, you know, her early experiences and how she overcame some obstacles right from the beginning. There was a woman who had a 9-month-old who she actually stopped breastfeeding early on because she had trouble and she didn't reach out for help. So she stopped breastfeeding, but she was pregnant again, and she really wants to breastfeed this baby. And so she comes every once in a while to the Baby Cafe to sort of, you know, work out her plan and learn so that she can not make the same mistakes twice. I thought that was really cool. And then there was another mother who had just moved to town, and she was breastfeeding an 11-month-old. And the same thing, she had problems with her first child and just gave up. And with the second one, she just decided, you know, I need to reach out and get the support I need. So there was like a kids play area that the older kids were playing in. They had free snacks and water, and it just really felt like a good place to just kind of relax and spend time there. I was able to ask questions about pediatricians and get some advice there. And the baby cafe happens to be about 4 blocks from my work. So my work is not, the physical space of the office that I work in is not one in which I could pump or bring the baby. It's just really not an option. It's like a converted old house that's not really that converted. So I don't have a private office. I don't have a private space. Actually, there's really no private space except the bathroom. Nowhere to sit but the toilet. So that's just really not, I don't feel like that's an option for me at this point. If I do go back and work part-time hours, I don't feel like I'd be able to pump at work, but I can walk 4 blocks to the baby cafe and pump there. They suggested it right away, and I would be totally comfortable doing that. So that's an amazing option to sort of have, and doesn't require any extra transportation, and that could be really helpful if that's something that we need. There was also a doula there who was just volunteering, and she, you know, I talked with her a little bit about our birth plan and how my husband is going to be like my primary support person, but I'm hoping that my mom will be able to come into town to support me in labor, but I'm not sure if the dates are going to work out. So she gave me her card, and I said, you know, basically, we'd love to have a doula, but I just don't think that it's in our budget at this point. And she said, well, why don't you take my card anyway, and we can talk and try to work something out. So that's another really amazing thing to have happen. So we're going to continue talking about that and sort of see if that could still be an option for us. So I stayed and hung out for about an hour, just like I said, just listening to people and asking any questions that came up. They welcomed me to come back throughout the rest of my pregnancy, and then certainly, you know, come back when I actually am breastfeeding. But they gave me a free bag of stuff I wanted to share. There's a logo on the other side, but it's like a pretty big canvas tote bag. And inside there's a ton of information. There are a few books about breastfeeding, and there's like a little do not disturb sign at the hospital. That'll just help you sort of back up the time you're trying to spend just bonding and breastfeeding the baby, and sort of advises people, again, you know, not to give the baby a bottle, not to give the baby a pacifier without my consent, which is something that my hospital doesn't do anyway, but most hospitals I think do. Just a ton of information. Then they gave a little baby t-shirt. It says, "I eat at Mom's." Isn't that so cute? And then they said that with one of the grants that they recently got, they had a little bit of extra funding, and as a group they decided what they would spend it on. And what they chose was to be able to give everybody a cloth diaper. So here's a pre-fold. I haven't washed it yet, but it feels pretty nice. It's unbleached. One pre-fold diaper. There is a wrap. I don't know anything about this brand. I'm sure it was just inexpensive, but hey, to have an extra. And then there's also a Snappy. I was totally shocked, but that was a really great surprise. So overall, my visit was wonderful. I can't wait to go back. I really feel like it'll be a good resource for me. And I'm gonna put the website below so that you all can check and see if there's one in your area. I'm sure every baby cafe sort of operates a little bit differently, but if it's anything like this place, I think it would be a really great thing for you to check out if it's in your area. So I'd be happy to take any questions if people have questions at all about the baby cafe or my breastfeeding plans at this point or whatever. Thanks for watching, everybody.